Explore the beauty of Nashville with Jody's Journeys, May 29th through June 2nd. Join Jody Griner, your travel guide, and explore the treasures of Nashville. Contact Jody Griner at 641-660-6417. This tour only holds 50 seats. Demand is high. Secure your spot now. Call Jody's Journeys at 641-660-6417. Again, Jody's Journeys is going to Nashville, May 29th through June 2nd.
Well, good morning. I'm Brent Adams here with your Rural Strong Morning Ag Report for this Wednesday, March 6th. Leading off the headlines this morning, the Purdue University CME Group Ag Economy Barometer rose modestly in February, posting a reading of 111, 5 points higher than a month earlier. The modest rise in the barometer was attributable to producers expressing somewhat more optimism about the future, as the Future Expectations Index rose 7 points to a reading of 115. The Current Conditions Index was unchanged at 103 compared to a month earlier. Meanwhile, February's Farm Financial Performance Index reading of 85 was 1 point lower than in January and 13 points below its most recent peak in December. Weak crop prices continue to weigh on financial expectations, as mid-February Eastern Corn Belt cash prices for corn and soybeans were lower. When asked about their biggest concerns for their farm operation in the upcoming year, producers in this month's survey continue to point to high input costs and lower crop and livestock prices. Well, the USDA has announced the first of several new rules designed to enhance integrity, fairness, and competition in livestock marketing. Here with the details is USDA Radio's Gary Crawford.
The Packers and Stockyards Act prohibits discrimination, deception, and retaliation in contracts and other dealings in meat and livestock buying and selling.
And this final rule will provide for a clear, more effective standard by which to govern all of this in the marketplace.
Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack announcing this week a final rule designed to help even the playing field for livestock producers in their contract dealings with large consolidated meat packers.
It's going to help producers receive protection against packers, swine contractors, and live poultry dealers who may be trying to terminate them on a pretext. For example, claiming that a poultry termination is on animal welfare grounds, or perhaps refusing to deal someone because they say their cattle quality is poor when it's not.
Vilsack said the new rule will enhance market integrity and transparency and will help protect producers against unfair practices. He said more new rules along that line are in the works. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
The National Cattlemen's Beef Association responded to the USDA's final Packers and Stockyards rule released Tuesday. NCBA Vice President of Government Affairs Ethan Lane says, while we still have concerns about the unintended consequences of the rule, we are pleased the USDA has addressed most of our significant concerns between the proposed and final rules. NCBA's concern with the regulation has always been based on the rule's unforeseen impacts on standard business practices. However, Juliana Potts, President and CEO of the Meat Institute, argues the final rule does nothing to change competition. Potts says, these changes are simply an attempt to assert even more federal authority to regulate the equities of industry business practices, clogging the federal courts with every contract dispute. She claims that Congress never intended to give USDA such broad-ranging authority over meat industry contracts and practices, regardless of their effect on competition. The Meat Institute previously submitted comments to the USDA outlining legal precedent and congressional intent regarding the rule. Well, Farm Bill prospects are looking dimmer after recent comments by Senate Ag Chair Debbie Stabenow and his other priorities crowd out the legislative calendar in a presidential election year. The hint started weeks ago.
We can get this done if people are serious. If people are serious about it, I'm serious about it.
That was Ag Chair Stabenow in January. But last month, Politico quoted her as saying at a White House event she'd rather stick with the lapsed 18 farm law already extended 1 year than compromise with the Republicans on SNAP and climate cuts. Longtime GOP Ag Senator Chuck Grassley's already made up his mind on whether there's still time in a crowded legislative and political calendar to do a farm bill this year.
No for myself, but I think it's more important to answer your question by what I think I heard reported on Chairwoman Stabenow, saying that she thinks that the Farm Bill is going to have to be extended for one more year. Sounds to me like she's thrown in the towel.
Stabenow told nutrition advocates when it comes to limiting anti-hunger programs in a new farm bill, quote, "I'm not going to do it. So if that means we're going to continue the policies of the 2018 Farm Bill, then that's okay," unquote. Republicans say they want more farm in the Farm Bill and argue the best way to do it is to reprogram some SNAP and climate spending. And checking in with the greatest name in agriculture, renowned Texas A&M Ag Policy Chief Joe Outlaw was already looking at the tea leaves on a Farm Bill Policy Facts Groundwork podcast in January.
I don't expect it to be done in 24 unless something wild happens after the election. And even then, if House or Senate flips, it's going to be enough change that I don't think it will happen early in 25 either.
Outlaw's prediction, maybe a summer of 25 Farm Bill. Well, a new report can help farmers analyze their crop risks and opportunities. Pattern Ag uses analytics to help farmers optimize their spending on crop protection, seed selection, and fertility inputs while improving the long-term productivity on their land. Danielle Watts, the vice president of data for Pattern Ag, says the 2024 Predictive Ag Report is backed by a large amount of data.
We analyzed more than 200 billion genetic reads from soil samples taken across the Midwest, and they form a soil metagenomics database, which is the world's largest soil metagenomic database. We put all of that information together and package that into our Predictive Ag Report. One of the key ways in which we really drive our understanding of what's happening in these fields is through a large research program we have. It's called the Pattern Ag's Growers Initiative, where we're working directly with commercial growers to understand the impacts of their field management on the soil biology, as well as what sort of links there are between the soil biology and their yield outcome.
Soil Productivity Index provides benchmarks of yield potential for farmers to compare their fields against.
So what we've done is taken years of grower information, including yield, as well as all of their soil biology and chemistry, and put that together in a way that really helps explain how far off are you from the potential yield that you could be getting. Are you pretty much maximizing out the yield through your management practices of the soil in your farm? Or are there opportunities for you to dive in a level deeper and really increase your soil productivity potential?
The report can help growers make crop input decisions for the growing season.
We produce an almanac every year where we're pinpointing the regions with the highest risk of pest and pathogen outbreaks. And these are really detailed maps that are going to look at pathogens as well as what sort of upcoming risks we're seeing in terms of biofertility. And then diving a layer deeper, this year we've also released a bunch of foliar insights. So where are we seeing regions of high foliar pathogen loads? We're also providing a lot of insights about where we're seeing significant yield differences based on the pathogen loads in the field. So this year is a sort of new release around that, where we're able to say, here's where we're seeing significant yield losses.
This is the second year that Pattern Ag has published the Predictive Ag Report. Watts offers an example of what growers can expect.
We saw something really interesting going on in north central Iowa in particular, where we were seeing between 30 and 80 bushels per acre lower corn in fields that were really high risk for fusarium root rot, northern corn leaf blight, tar spot, and anthracnose of corn. Since the average yield for corn in this region is around 200 bushels per acre, our growers in that region where we saw low fusarium, they were upwards around 240 bushels per acre. And in contrast, fields really high in fusarium were averaging about 150 bushels per acre in 2023. What that tells us is that there's a really significant opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive in the management of some of these root rots to achieve that top end yield that's possible in that region.
Copies of the 2024 Predictive Ag Report can be downloaded online at pattern.ag. And finally, this morning, submissions are now open for the Top Agri-Food Pioneers List, a new initiative by the World Food Prize Foundation. The list will feature 38 leading innovators from across the world working to transform food systems in honor of the organization's 38th anniversary this year. The Top Agri-Food Pioneers List will spotlight pioneers of any age, background, or career focus working in the fields related to food or agriculture. Those selected in the final list will comprise the first cohort of top agri-food pioneers building a network of trailblazers to be expanded each year to facilitate co-learning and collaboration across food systems. They will also be featured at the 2024 Boardlong Dialogue in Des Moines. Any institution or individual may submit a name for consideration for the top agri-food pioneers list. Submissions will be accepted through March 8th. More information and how to submit names for consideration is available on the World Food Prize website, worldfoodprize.org. You can keep up with the latest in the world of agriculture by subscribing to the Tractors and Troubadours podcast from Rural Strong Media. Each week, I bring you agriculture industry newsmakers, hot button industry issues, educational features, and the best in traditional country music. The Tractors and Troubadours podcast can be found at ruralstrongmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We also invite you to join us daily on Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station found at ruralstrongmedia.com or the Live 365 streaming radio app for your mobile device. Each day, we bring you our award-winning agriculture programming, as well as the best in traditional country music, mixed in with a little bluegrass, western swing, southern rock, and inspirational music. Again, the place to find Rural Strong Radio is ruralstrongmedia.com or the Live 365 streaming radio app. We're portable, so take us with you everywhere you go while you're working on the farm or ranch. Let's get through the workday together. Well, I'll be back again tomorrow with another Rural Strong Morning Ag Report here on Steve Shetler Media. Make it a great day, everybody.